Welcome back to NewsX. I'm Thomas Porteous and you're watching Focal Length, where we get you a briefing on topics from across the world. With each day passing by, the complications in the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war increase significantly. So, is peace possible soon? Why is Ukraine hesitant to negotiate, despite Putin's offers? Could Trump help broker a peace deal? Has Biden's actions made a compromise harder? Why hasn't Ukraine joined NATO, and does it still have a chance to defeat Russia? Could NATO's involvement trigger World War III? Let's find out. Joining us is Yevheniia Krachuk, a Ukrainian politician and Member of Parliament. She represents the Servant of the People Party. Since 2019, she has served as the Deputy Chairman of the Committee on Humanitarian and Information Policy. She is also a Ukrainian delegate to the Parliamentary Assembly on the Council of Europe. Before entering politics, Krachuk was a journalist and communication expert. Thank you, Yevheniia Krachuk, for joining us. My first question to you is, the latest Ukrainian drone attack in Kazan has killed 6. The two sides continue to strike each other. Is there any possibility of peace in the near future?
Well, first of all, I would like to bring your attention what is situated in Kazan. Kazan is Tatarstan. So in Kazan, there is a gunpowder factory that produces powder that is being used in Iskanders, the missiles that are being sent on Ukrainian territory, harassing people. So that was the actual, target of the attack. And also, they do have a lot of military objects on that territory. And obviously, the jamming that were used probably caused this, shift in the targeting. But nevertheless, I'd like to also bring your attention that it's not a fight under a dispute territory. So Russians attack Ukrainians and we are defending. As every country under Statute of United Nations, we have a right to defend itself and also to target military objects that are being used to kill more Ukrainians with missiles, with drones and with planes. So if Russia stops the war just stops. If Ukrainians stop defending itself, more territory will be occupied, people will have to flee, millions of people will have to leave their whereabouts, and that's what's going on. So all we ask is a respect to international recognized borders. And of course, we would like a world not to be silent when war crimes by Russians are being committed. So we will see what happens in the 2025. Ukraine wants to have peace, most of all of the people, because we are being under attack every day. I woke up today because of the drone attack, and yesterday I woke up because there was a missile attack on Kiev. It was very loud. We had people killed again. It was attack in the center of a capital which has 4 million people living in it.
Putin has recently spoken about negotiating a peace deal. Why do you think Ukraine is being hesitant in holding a dialogue to end the war?
So what Putin proposes, it's not a dialogue. He's saying that we have to withdraw our troops from regions that he wrote into the constitution of Russia. So Ukrainian regions with Ukrainian people that are under occupations should be, we should withdraw our military from these regions, because of course Russians do not have a military capability to occupy all the territory, because we fight back, we have some aid in military aid, so we do fight back for our territory and our people. So the start of the so-called dialogue is saying that Ukrainians have to go out and take from their home, basically. So of course we're not we will not negotiate on capitulation. We are ready to speak on the rules and to speak on the Statute of United Nations, how It's recognized by all other countries, and we are on the right side because we are defending our own land. And another thing, what Ukrainians want is the security guarantees. When the war will be stopped, we want to have guarantees that it will not be again Russian attack in 5 years, because they still want to occupy and do not see Ukraine as a sovereign nation. We already had the so-called Budapest Memorandum. People who are interested can Google it. So Ukraine in 1994 gave up a third largest in the world nuclear arsenal for the paper, basically, which was signed also by Russians as well, that Russians were guarantee the territorial integrity. It was also signed by United States, by some European countries, and it was just a paper that was thrown out to the basket because Russia violated the security guarantee.
Do you think Trump will be able to negotiate a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine?
Well, first of all, we do think that his idea, peace through strength, is the way to put forward. That's why Ukraine has to be strong in all the circumstances, especially in 2025. And of course, Trump understands, and I think his advisors understands, that it's not just Russia. And what's going on right now, we have North Koreans on European continent. So North Koreans from another autocratic country on European continent fighting with Ukrainian troops. And clearly there is linkage between Russia, Iran, China, North Korea. So they are, working as a group, and it's not a peaceful group. They are threatening other countries that are neighbors, and that will, do a distress in other parts of the world. So that's why it's not just a regional conflict. It's a big war between democracies and dictatorship. So it depends, the outcome of this war will decide how the world will look like, whether we will live in the world with rules or in any time, in any part of the world, a dictator will launch another war.
Just weeks before Trump is inaugurated, do you feel Biden has escalated the war against Russia? Do you think Biden's past decisions have made it more difficult for the two sides to come to a compromise?
Every step taken to escalate was taken by Russian side, because it's them who are using guided bombs, who are using artillery, who are using all types of missiles, ballistics, drones. Ukraine was under attack of 500 drones just in 1 week. It's even hard to imagine, the escalation. Putin killed thousands of people because of this war. So that's Kremlin who should be asked the question about escalation.
Why do you think Russia-Ukraine has still not been made a part of NATO?
That's a very good question, and we still think that the ultimate goal for Ukraine is to be in the in North Atlantic Alliance, NATO. But we also understand that when the full-scale aggression of Russian Federation against Ukraine is still ongoing, a lot of countries will not accept Ukrainian membership. But at the same time, we do think that Ukraine could be a donor in a European continent, as we will have a second largest army on the European continent and among the NATO countries. We are trained, our soldiers are trained. We used all types of NATO weapons. So I think we could contribute to the defense of NATO, especially on European continent. So it is a position of many members in NATO, but they also understand that they would need strong Ukraine to have stronger alliance. Maybe it will happen later.
Do you think Ukraine still has a chance to defeat Russia in this war?
Remember, because I was looking for when you wrote me about the interview, your editor wrote me about interview. There was a very funny inquiry at the end of February of 2022, and you were asking whether Zelensky fled to Poland. There was another propaganda, another fake news that Russia was spreading to show that they're so, powerful. But remember how your reports looked like in February, in the end of February 2022. The world was expecting that Ukraine will fall in 2 weeks, Kiev will fall down in 3 days, and it didn't happen. Right now, we started our own military production so that we produce 4 million drones per year, 4 million drones. We produce more artillery systems than any country in the European continent. So Ukraine had, of course, we lost a lot of people, and that's our pain because we lost soldiers, we're losing civilians. That's a huge pain to Ukraine. But Ukraine proved that it can stand for its sovereignty. So we do understand that not all of our lands that are occupied by Russia could be freed in a military way, but we do believe that in some time, with diplomatic efforts, we could restore the full territorial integrity. But of course, not fighting literally for the every inch of its land, but we will be defending what is ours.
Do you think if NATO deploys troops along the border, it will turn into a full-blown war, a World War III maybe?
If I understood your question right, because actually it's the idea that was brought by American President-elect Donald Trump, or at least ideas being discussed together with Macron to bring some troops from other countries on the line, on the front line. And so, I mean, the borderline. But before, obviously, they could come, if this idea ever realizes, the actual full-scale invasion should stop, and Russia would not be attacking at that time. So we will see what comes out of this idea. A lot of ideas are on the table, but obviously the plan, especially the plan that Donald J. Trump wants to present, is not totally, formed. But we do expect Mr. Krachuk, General Krachuk, it's a special envoy of President Trump on Russia-Ukraine war, to come to Kiev at the beginning of January. He was in Ukraine for more than 2 weeks before, in 2022. He visited not just Kiev, but he visited also Kharkiv region, some regions that were under occupation. He saw these mass graves of people killed by Russians. So he understands what Russians are capable for. And we're welcoming and ready to give, all the needed information and to have the discussions with Mr. Krachuk.
What, according to you, could be the middle ground to strike up a peace deal?
It's the respect to the rules. Ukraine will never politically agree that some of the occupied Ukrainian territories are Russian. So because it's written in our constitution, we cannot change the constitution. But also, as I mentioned before, we need to have security guarantees together with the partners in the region, United States, security guarantees that in 5 years or in 10 years, Russia will not attack again, and there will be a respect for Ukrainian sovereign states. That is key issue that we all need to reach with our partners.
Thank you, Yevheniia Krachuk, for speaking to us on Focal Length. With that, it's a wrap on this episode. For more international news updates, stay tuned on NewsX.